Hello and welcome back to UCL Review, where we review the biggest talking points from around Europe. And tonight, of course, we're going to be focusing on Sunderland's 1-0 victory over Crewe. I jest. Of course, we're talking about...
mate. Five clean sheets.
We should mention it one day. But of course, tonight we are going to focus on Man United's 2-1 victory over PSG. Joe, you must be delighted.
Yeah, absolutely delighted. Not only with the result, because we massively deserved it over PSG, but also with the performance. You know, there's been a lot of negativity stemming from some really awful results, particularly that Tottenham Hotspur one at the start of this season and a bad transfer window. But today really looked and felt like a little bit of a turning point so far in this season. I know we've got some massive games coming up, so I don't want to jump the gun too soon, but we played really well. And I think you probably agree when you do, so we deserve to win that game across the course of 90 minutes. Yeah, 100%. And, you know, it finished 2-1, and I felt like the scoreline flattered PSG, to be totally honest, who I thought were absolutely appalling from 1 to 11 for the whole 90 minutes, but I'm sure we're going to touch upon them in just a little bit. Obviously, goals coming from Bruno Fernandes from the spot, Manchester United strike again, and then Marcus Rashford. What a goal, a brilliant turn. Diallo is just nowhere near him, and then strikes it across the keeper, in off the post. Amazing finish. But like I said, you know, United, we've been spluttering at the start of the season, if I'm being kind. Obviously won just 2 of our opening 4 league games, getting battered by Palace, getting battered by Tottenham Hotspur. Already 8 points behind Everton. We do have a game in hand though. But just to put a bit of wider perspective on things, you know, across the last 32 games, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a 70% win rate, which is an incredible rate at the moment, to be honest with you. One he isn't going to be able to sustain across the course of a season. But United have been, if you put it into wider context, good for the last few months and poor in the last few weeks. So maybe, you know, we're just starting to refine some of that post-lockdown form that we found towards the back end of last season, because going into this game without Harry Maguire, and yes, he's been getting battered on social media, but he's a very important player for Manchester United. Our captain, we had no Mason Greenwood, still out injured. Edinson Cavani, not yet fit to travel. He'd only been involved in 1 training session. And the team on paper looked a little bit mishmash. But if there's one thing you've got to credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with, is he tends to get his tactics spot on in big games. And when United play with that 3 at the back system, or 5 at the back when the wing backs drop in, they are quite hard to break down, especially when you've got Fred and McTominay sat in front doing a little bit of the dirty work. Both of them were really impressive today, even though they were playing quite a weak PSG midfield, it has to be said. Let's just quickly talk on the penalty, because for me, definitely a pen. Dukes, for you?
100%, yeah, silly challenge.
Yeah, appalling tackle by Diallo, wrong side. You know that Martial's going to turn you, and if you get turned, just stay on your feet, don't dive in. Dives in. Then we had the retake of the penalty, rightly so, even though it is a bit sort of a geeky, isn't it? I'm not the biggest fan of it, but nevertheless, by the rules, it has to happen. Bruno scores finally. Such an influential player for Manchester United. I think he's got 18 goal involvements in 19 Premier League games, and I think he's got 10 goal involvements, or 10 goals maybe even, in his last 15 Champions League games, which is really impressive from him. You know, also want to highlight Axel Tuanzebe at the heart of the back line. It's his first game in nearly a year for Manchester United. I think his last one was against Colchester. And he was superb, really quick across the ground, which helps when you're playing against Kylian Mbappe. I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka had one of his best games in months. A little bit reminiscent of, do you remember when Man United played Man City at the Etihad and he locked up Raheem Sterling?
I do remember.
Felt a little bit like that tonight. It was really impressive. The midfield was great. The forwards I didn't think had their best day. I didn't think Martial or Rashford actually played brilliantly, but Rashford obviously comes up with the big moment to win us the game. And hats off as well to David De Gea. To be honest with you, I've praised the whole United team there. 1 to 11, United were better than PSG. PSG were appalling, weren't they, Dukes?
Yeah, they really weren't great, and it was weird because they'd actually gone into this game in reasonable shape. They'd lost their first 2 games of the season against Lens and Marseille, but they'd actually won their last 4 Ligue 1 games, scoring 15 goals in the process and conceding just once. But the pressure is really starting to mount on Thomas Tuchel. I said it on the Extra Time podcast last week that he might be out of a job come Christmas, not because of poor performance or underachieving last year, but because of issues behind the scenes. He's fallen out with Leonardo, he criticised their summer business, and that only really ever leads to one winner, and I think it'll be Leonardo. They are also, the pressure is really on on the next 2 campaigns in terms of the Champions League, because Di Maria, Draxler and Juan Bernat, who's currently out injured, are all out of contract next summer. Wow. And then Mbappe and Neymar the year after that. So it feels like this is really their last proper year as a team, because you're pretty sure that Real Madrid and Liverpool are going to go for Mbappe next summer. And to give him some credit, he went into this game like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with depleted resources. He was out without Marquinhos, Verratti, Thilo Kehrer, Icardi, Draxler, Paredes and Juan Bernat, who's done his ACL. So
and apparently a coherent system as well. That seemed to be missing today.
Yeah. I mean, the midfield was pretty underwhelming, was it? Danilo Pereira, newly signed from Porto, looked pretty overweight, I have to say. Actually, not really fit.
He was awful. That was one of the worst Champions League performances I've ever seen.
He was struggling to get around the pitch. Idrissa Gueye was actually woeful in midfield before being taken off at half-time. Didn't complete a tackle, an interception, a dribble or a key pass. Key passes aren't really part of his game, but for Idrissa Gueye to not get his foot in once in 45 minutes is pretty poor. They did improve slightly in the second half, at least for a 10-15 minute stretch. Got that goal through Martial. It was slightly fortuitous to say the least, but they do have a good scoring record, at least in the Champions League. They've now scored in 35 of their last 36 games in the competition, only failing to find the net against Bayern in the Champions League. But you know, they're going to find it difficult to make major inroads in this competition if Di Maria plays as poor as this. Neymar was off colour as well. I thought Mbappe was pretty sharp, but Tuanzebe played really well against Mbappe, you have to say. And that 5 at the back system you were talking about worked really well in combating Neymar and Mbappe, who love to pull left, which is down Wan-Bissaka's channel, and Tuanzebe was covering magnificently as well. Yeah, I mean, Aaron Wan-Bissaka put in 6 tackles, Fred 5, Bruno 5, McTominay 3. They just worked so much harder than PSG. And David De Gea, as you say, was magnificent in goal. I mean, in terms of a man of the match, I'd probably have to give it to De Gea, to be honest, even though that suggests that PSG were well on top when really they weren't. I thought this was a really good display from Man United, considering the context of the sort of chaos around them at the moment. I was really impressed. And it's a perfect start to life in Group H for them. RB Leipzig also won. They beat Istanbul Başakşehir 2-0 thanks to 2 goals from Angelino. Good attempt at that pronunciation,
man. Good attempt at that pronunciation.
I tried my best. Istanbul Başakşehir, something like that. Thanks to 2 goals from Angelino. Yeah, one of them was a Dennis Bergkamp-esque special, so go check that out afterwards. Man United now face Chelsea at 5:30 on Saturday. How are you feeling ahead of that, Joe?
Do you know what? I don't know. I'm not overly confident, but I haven't been overly confident about pretty much any game this season, to be totally honest with you. And I wasn't confident about the PSG match tonight. I'm hoping Ollie lines up with another 3 at the back and we get to see Alex Telles, who I thought was really impressive on his debut.
We should mention him.
On left wing back, I hope we get to see that kind of setup yet again, but maybe Harry Maguire at the heart of the back line instead of Victor Lindelof, and a really similar sort of setup. Maybe Paul Pogba, though, getting a run out in that midfield, so a little bit more expansive. But I'm excited more than anything. I'm just excited to watch United again, which is the first time I probably said that this season.
Yeah, massive result here as well. And that 5 at the back system, we should also mention, it makes Luke Shaw look so much better. He's actually really good on the left side of a back 3.
Yeah, because especially when he pushes up into the midfield and can carry the ball, and when he carries the ball, Telles drops back into that sort of left centre-back role and we go to a more classic 4. But I did also want to point out, I thought it was a bit of a masterstroke by Ole when we went to 1-1 and we were actually getting a little bit deep, and Mbappe had a good chance that Wan-Bissaka amazingly blocked, and he decided to bring Telles off and go to a back 4 and shift Pogba into a midfield 4, so it was almost like a flat 4-4-2. And immediately, as soon as we got Pogba on the pitch and we went to the back 4, that really changed the dynamic of the game again. So another bit of praise there for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but I just thought tactically he was spot on today.
Absolutely. All he's looking for now is consistency. I can't remember the last time Man United put 4 or 5 good results together. 4 or 5 wins. That's all what we're looking for from Ole, but a great result for them tonight. Guys, I hope you enjoyed, I was about to say UCL review for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow night. We'll be reviewing Liverpool versus Ajax, hopefully, and I think that's with Michael McCubbin. But Joe, what should they go and look at now?
Why not go and watch Winners and Losers, where we talked a little bit about the Van Dijk injury, the impact it's going to have on Liverpool this season.
Perfect. We'll see you next time. Bye.